What up, what up? It's old Marvelous in the fucking Hemi. So this is part 2. There were some things I left out the other day when I was speaking about the topic at hand, which is why I decided to do dating advice. The reason why I decided to do dating advice is this. I listed a lot of things last time, and it was just a stream of consciousness. I'm gonna do something similar again today, where I just go on a little soapbox rant and just follow me. So the main reason why I decided to do dating advice is because as black men in America, no one taught us how to date. No one taught us how to interact with a woman. Women know how to manipulate men from the time they're born. They learn from their little kids, their little girls. They understand how to manipulate men. You know, they put a little daddy voice. Oh, well, hey, daddy. And then that makes them, that melts the man's heart. So they're learning from a young age how. They're also getting reinforcement from their mothers or their sisters on how to manipulate men and to get resources or time or whatever they, the case may be, out of men. They're learning this and they're being taught at a young age. Men are being taught how to be manipulated at a young age. And it's reinforced through media and it's reinforced through family members, etc. So, again, like I said, I always have to get to the root of things. There's the patriarchy, which is that we have right now in America, especially in the black community, which is divisive. It's set up, like I mentioned in my other video, it's set up to destroy and emasculate and arrest the development of black men. This tactic, this mammy culture that we have right now was actually devised in Rome 2,000 years ago. They would use that on slaves, Roman slaves. And what they would do is they'd go find the most alpha male. They would kill him in front of everybody, in front of the women, and say, if y'all don't make sure y'all keep these men in check, we're going to kill the rest of y'all. And then what they found was that women would keep them in check. Women would be the most loyal and obedient slave masters. And it's happened by your own people. And then it becomes even more divisive because now what happens is the men that in the further and up and coming generations were weaker and weaker and weaker. And then we all know, again, if you have a systemic problem, what do? Men create society. We've created everything. Men, just in general, men have created everything in society. All the roads, all the bridges, we've created that. We create the infrastructure. So now if you emasculate and you arrest the development of these men by creating this whole patriarchal culture and the mammy culture, now what happens is that those men will never rise up and fight the oppression. They will never fight the system. They will never create systems. They will never do anything that can challenge the ruling party. The reason why I'm giving you this information is because now they beta tested this with slaves. I mentioned in my other video about they would bring slaves, the disobedient, defiant ones, and they would bring them down from the Americas or slaves and prisoners of war, bring them down to the West Indies. They would buck break them, they would rape them, they would in front of their family. But what I didn't say in that last video, I mentioned patriarchal, the culture that we're a part of. But what I didn't say was that they would do the same thing with men. Like I said in Rome, they beta tested this back then. So what they would do is when it was a man, they would come off a ship. So they would look at this by their posture, their body language. They would find the most alpha male, the most dominant male, and they would savagely beat him and rape him in front of everybody. Kill a couple of kids, kill a couple of anybody they thought might be causing uprising. They would kill them in front of the women and say, listen, if you do not keep these men in check, then this is what's going to happen to the rest of your family. And they get the biggest, most boisterous black women to keep these men in line. You hear me talk a lot about feminism, how divisive it is. This is like the way America works, the way society works, the way the system works. If you haven't noticed, before things were blatant and outright in your face, now with the advent of social media and, TV and the internet, information is so quickly spread, you have to become more covert with your things. with with the way you do things. You can't have slavery anymore, you know. But what you can do, like I said before, and I say it all the time, in the 60s, you mass incarcerate black men, and in essence, they are slaves. They can't vote. They can't do anything. They're in essence slaves. You know what I'm saying? When you're in jail, you're in essence a slave. So that's how you. And if you look at J. Edgar Hoover, he said the biggest threat to American society is black unity. He was the head of the CIA. So they study and they figure out ways to continue this slavery and continue monetizing our pain and continue putting it on blast and public lynchings. Now you do it differently. Instead of them publicly lynching somebody as far as actually lynching them, they do it on TV. Like I said, check out my Kevin Hart video. We talk about this in that video. Buck breaking and things of that nature. So now, another component of slavery I just mentioned to you was the mammy culture. Having the mammies oversee the men. And that emasculates the men. And then they promote, we have bad food, a bad diet. Most men don't fully mature until their late 30s, early 40s. I was listening to audio of slaves. Now, we understand what type of rough type of conditions they had to live and to survive and thrive in. A lot of these slaves, they digitally remastered them. And they were saying, my granddad lived to 130. My great-grandfather lived to 140. My mom lived to 110. And that was under the harshest conditions. Now niggas is dying at 80, 50, 60. You think that's an accident or by design? You shorten the lifespan of the men through diet, through stress, things of that nature, through putting alcohol in the community, drugs in the communities. Now, by the time this man ends up actually putting all this shit together, he's dying or passing on. And he can't pass on that knowledge and information and wisdom. And you have no connection to your ancestors or the strong men in your family. Between jail and death and hypertension and all these things, which is systematically input into our communities. Which you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? You see the archetype. You see the systematic and systemic way they're doing this. So the reason why I give dating advice is to teach you niggas how to circumvent this. I said before, she could never love you. How could she? This is how. How could she? Because she's a product of the system that's oppressing us, and she's oppressing us from the inside out. Now I teach you how to navigate. So if you're gonna date, most women, are some form, shape, or fashion involved in this type of patriarchal, bullshit. You know what I mean? Because I give you a story. Even in my family, you know what I'm saying? My grandmother's parents, they were sharecroppers. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother, she was raped. She says she was raped at 13. And then, her hand was sold. Her hand in marriage was sold to the man who raped her. So, of course, now you combine that from being, in a sharecropper type of environment. Now you're a sharecropper. And then now you're raped by a man. And then now, you know what I'm saying, her that just reinforces the oppressive, like, I have to keep these niggas in line, keep them in check. I have to can't let that masculinity get out of line. So she just going along with the program. You know what I'm saying? My other grandmother, on my mother's side, my father told me a story one time. She was pretty much like, you know what I'm saying? My grandfather, backtrack, my grandfather on my mother's side, she pretty much killed his spirit. My grandmother, that is. She was nice to me, but she wasn't to him. She pretty much killed his spirit. You know what I'm saying? She told my father one time, you should be a good nigga just like him. You know what I'm saying? You come in, you give me a check. You go upstairs, you inebriate yourself, get a little bottle, and let women run this shit. Do just like him. You know what I'm saying? They were good people. All of them were good people. Had to deal with bad things. You know what I'm saying? But this thing about it is that this is the undercurrent of not just, now it's about America in general, but this is the undercurrent. This is the innermost part of society that they don't want you to know. And it affects all of us, some way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like they're trying to make masculinity be obsolete. They're trying to redefine and edit the roles of masculinity as they see fit. Because again, a masculine man, a man who's an alpha, a man that's actualized his masculinity is going to see the system. A man that has actualized his masculinity is going to want to create a new system. And if you keep the men weak, you keep the woman subservient, you keep the woman reinforcing it with this feminism bullshit, and they reinforce it, you continue to, they do it, it's the system runs itself at that point in time. All you have to do is put a couple commercials out. I seen commercial with Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade. You know what I'm saying? This is an NBA Hall of Fame motherfucking championship level player. MVP caliber player. He's the best of the best men. And she's beating him in exercise, in a bike race. Get the fuck out of here. That's how they subtly try to brainwash you. You know what I'm saying? And of course they picked a black couple to do that shit. And what I'm saying, these triggers, they reinforce this backwards way of interaction with the opposite sex. So then now when it comes to dating, the whole dating game is fucked up and compromised because that's the way they made it. So the reason why I give you dating advice is so you can understand how to navigate this flawed system in the way that they have turned the sexes on their axis and fucked up the way we interact with each other. I also teach you dating advice because at least you know what to not look for now. In order for you to understand light, you have to fully understand dark. So now if I show you how dark it gets with these last two videos, now you can understand where to find a light at. You know exactly what type of woman you should look for. You know exactly what type of woman that's going to help you build. Because if a woman doesn't see this shit, if a woman does not see this shit, if a woman does not see this shit, if she is not understanding the system and the social programming and how divisive it is, if that's going to be your woman, she's going to infect your children with this programming. Your daughters, your sons. And she's going to end up wearing away and eroding your masculinity as well. Keeping you stuck to the system. Consumerism. You know what I'm saying? So where you can't even have any extra money because you spend on fucking bags and dumb shit. And like, don't get it twisted. You see, I like to dress fly, I like shit, I like to look good. But at the end of the day, you have to have a hustle. Like if she likes those things, you'll create a business. That's why I say your woman must work for you. You know what I'm saying? It's not as deep. It goes deeper than just the money part. It's psychological as well. She has to work for you because she's working for the system right now, and she's just going to be part of the system. That's what puts money on the table. But if you can now have her work for you, money in the bank, food on the table, roof over her head. But now if she's working for you now you're the new system, and you can circumvent and usurp that system. That's why she has to work for you. So now, like I said, you'll be stuck. You know what I'm saying? Going to debt to please someone that you cannot please. Allow women like that are emotional black holes. They cannot respect you if they're your mammy. That's not the role they're supposed to be. They cannot respect you if they're reporting to the slave master, to the slave master, and keeping you in check. You're not the man anymore. And what do they do with men? They castrate men. That's what they did back then. They castrated them. You ever wonder why? And every time the white man will always castrate black men. Do you understand why? You think about that shit? Think about it. Why would they castrate you? Because they don't have power that you have. That's where you produce your testosterone. That's where you produce more semen to spread your seed. What happens to your body? Have you seen a picture? I saw a picture of a black man that they castrated, and look at his body. Look at how his body just doesn't, you know what I'm saying? It affects your thinking when you have a lack of testosterone. It makes you more subservient and weak and easier to manage and control. So, again, she can never love you. How could she?